Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing good. In this episode here, I'm going to install an S13 differential. And so before we get started, stick around. The whole purpose of installing S13 differential to the Skyline is because it originally an automatic. So since the differential is stock, which it has a lower gear ratio, and that only helped me for top end and fuel economy. But since the Skyline is already modified with double the horsepower and a manual transmission, with this S13 differential, it has a higher gear ratio, which it will increase acceleration and torque. But the downside is it will decrease the fuel economy. So with the horsepower that I'm running right now, I believe with this S13 differential, it will be a good combination. But since I'm going to use for drifting and other track event, I think this will be a good mid-range power. Let's take a look at this S13 differential. Not much to it. So you can tell that if it spins, all right, both ends, it will spin equally as the drive shaft spins. No clunks or anything. No grind. It's very smooth. This is the a 40F00. It has some fluid in there. It's just 775W90. Nothing fancy. Alright, so let's go ahead and install this to the Skyline. Alright, so the car is jacked up and I just removed the both sides of wheels. That way I can focus on get the axle out. And it's holding a nut right here and some 6 bolts that is connected to the diff. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so I am underneath the car just to check out the R32 differential. So far, looks pretty good. Doesn't look too complicated. It should be a straightforward process. The only thing that I have to remove is my exhaust. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I welded a V-band where the cat back is. That way I can drop this exhaust down with no issue. In the future, I am gonna weld another pipe, and that's gonna be a blast pipe. But at this time, I'm just gonna leave it as is. But yeah, in the future, I am gonna make another exhaust. So stay tuned for that video. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, it shouldn't be too complicated. Straightforward. On the back side of the rear subframe, there are 2 nuts that's holding the diff, and on the front there's about 2 bolts, all right, that next to the drive shaft. Now other than that, it's just holding both sides of the axle. Here's all the nuts and bolts right here. Should be simple, all right, easy access. So hopefully that everything goes well, and let's get to work. Okay, so I'm gonna start the driver's side, which is for the right hand drive. Okay, so this is going to be a 14 millimeter. All right, So I'm just gonna loosen it up one by one. Ooh, that is pretty tight. But it's kind of hard because I'm laying on the ground. I'm not doing it at the shop, so I don't have that luxury, you know. Put on a lift. Alright, so once I get that loosened up, go ahead and do it to the next one. Alright, so I got all the nuts and bolts. Alright, no more. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the exhaust from the V-band. Then I'm gonna get those nuts and bolts from the guide shaft. Okay, and just drop it down, and then after that, then do it for the other axle, and it should be it. And then we're gonna focus on the diff in the bit here. I'll have a floor jack, and I'll have a floor jack and, you know, hold the diff so that it doesn't fall or get it damaged. All right. Now I got the exhaust out of the way. Then I'm gonna loosen up these nuts and bolts from the drive shaft, and they are 14 millimeter as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It's in a tight area here, so I probably won't record it, but you know, at least you guys knows that these are 14 millimeter, and it's holding with four bolts. The drive shaft is loose now, so it's just leaning on top of the exhaust pipe. So at this point, I got the passenger side axle left. Then there's not much to it besides dropping down the diff. Alright, so I got the both axle loosened up. So at this time, I'm gonna remove that pin right there and then take that nut out. That way I can take those R32 axle all the way. That way we can have more clearance for the diff to come down. So let's go ahead and do that. Got the pin out, and so to able to get that nut is you use a 36 millimeter socket. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so got the nut out, and the axle should be freely. Alright, just like that. Alright, make sure you get the little spacer behind it. Don't lose that, because you're gonna need it. A good thing that the axle is very freely, so that's a good thing. Alright, so go ahead and do it to the other side. So which I'm not gonna record it because, you know, it's gonna be the same thing, so you guys get the point. Alright, let's go ahead and focus on the differential. Alright, so underneath the car again, the diff. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is 1, 2, and then 2 more on the bottom, the nut. That way we can get this thing started, because it's going to be a little tricky to get to because not enough space on here, but it can be done. And then the other 2 is just right here, and that's easy. All right. Also, I noticed that the driver's side axle is a little bit longer than the passenger side. So this, the passenger side is a little bit shorter. So the S14 axle, one of them is long and the other one is short too. So make sure that you guys install it correctly. All right, so let's go ahead and remove those nuts behind the subframe. So I got the two front bolt out, easy. The diff did drop a little bit. So my concern is the sway bar. Hopefully it doesn't interfere once the diff drops down. So I may have to lower the floor jack a little at a time, and then just try to maneuver everything else. Okay, so let's see where we at. Lower down just a little bit. All right, see if it clears. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna have to go up a little bit. It's hitting the sway bar. Oh shoot! Forgot my ply bar. Okay, here we go. All right, let me move this forward a little bit. The end is okay, let's see here. Okay, drop a little bit, push this thing forward. Okay, if I have a hoist, everything would be much better. But you know, you're doing it at home, doing the getaway. Back in the days, doing on the ground. Yeah, just do whatever works. Okay, so my issue is one, the stud got stuck right in a hole. So let's see here, right there. And the diff is pretty much leaning on top of the sway bar. Okay, here we go. Okay, almost. Oh, this one's stuck too. Oh, goodness. Okay, it's all right. We will get it out. I need my ply bar. Okay, let's see where we are here. Okay, so I think at this point I'm gonna have to use my manpower. All right. So let's move this floor jack out of the way. So this is the moment that I have to be very careful, because this diff here is pretty darn heavy. So All right, finally got that diff out. Oh, all I did was use a couple of manpower, trying to, rocking it back and forth. And then once I knew that it was like totally loose, then you just have to, use all your strength, everything you got. But just got to be careful. Keep your head away from it. All right, and then basically just using, I was just using my chest and my arms to, to hold on to the diff. So just keep the head away. All right. So other than that, the diff is on the ground. Goodness. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the S13 diff in. Do a comparison. This one to my left is the R32. The gear ratio is a 350, and the one to the right is the S13 Differential, and the gear ratio is 4.08. all right, so they both look very similar. So the only thing that's different is for the R32, again, it's a 5-bolt, and the S13 is the 6-bolt. And also I noticed the difference of the thickness. This one is a little bit thin. Look at that. See how thick that is? So my concern is hopefully that doesn't cause an issue for my one-piece drive shaft. Other than that, this is a 3831140F00. Same thing as this one. I wonder, are they the same? I don't know, but I'm just gonna go ahead and install this S13 and go from there. As far as for the differential cover, the R32, the drain is on the bottom, the filler is on the side. For the S13, the drain is on the bottom, the filler is right here, right in the center. So, yep, let's go ahead and install this thing and call it a day. I finally put the differential on. It was a big challenge because I was just doing by myself underneath the car and with the floor jack, and I was fighting it, and I was able to got it in and installed both axles. I didn't record it because it was, like I said, it was a challenge too, and but on the passenger side axle with the S14 axle, everything goes in nice and easy. But on the driver side axle, the S14, since that it was like a hair long than the S13 axle, there was some kind of a challenge to try to get in. But other than that, yes, with the S14 axle, it will fit for the S13 differential. You just gotta, use a ply bar and use all your manpower to try to get in there. Other thing that I have noticed that the R32 the axle bolt, alright, it's not going to fit for the S13 and the S14 because that these bolts are a little bit thicker, and the S13 S14 holes are smaller. Alright, so you're gonna have to change all your bolts and nuts. Alright, so there's not much I can do right now, but I'll stop by at the hardware and get some new bolts and nuts. Alright, so I'll see you guys in a bit here. And so I got some new bolts. So these are just M8 by 30 1.25. Alright, so this is about like an inch long. Alright, so it will just goes into the hole, and a little washer just like that, and then fling nut. Okay, so you guys have the idea. Okay, so these bolt is grade 10. All right, so try and get the strongest bolt. There's some other grades, like probably like a grade 8.8. So I think that might do it too, but I recommend the grade 10 if you guys can get it, or if you have the S13 and the S14, the bolts and nuts that comes with the axle, go ahead and use it. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it for both ends. Alright, the drive shaft needs to be tightened as well, so I got everything all connected. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so everything is done. Double check, make sure that I have everything is nice and tight. Alright, so the only thing that is left is to put the exhaust on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I'm losing sunlight too, so boy, time flies. So I'm gonna put the exhaust on and try to get it done before it gets dark. Alright, so right now I'm going to take it for a test drive. I want to make sure that everything is running properly. Make sure that it doesn't make any funky noise coming from the differential, the axle, drive shaft, maybe the exhaust too. That way, if I take it to work tomorrow or go places, I want to make sure that it doesn't make all those noises. So let's go and take it for a test drive. So far so good.
far so good.
Alright guys, I'm going to end this video right here. As far as the differential and axle and drive shaft, everything is looking good. There's no grinding noise whatsoever. And so yeah, if you guys think this video is helpful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you guys haven't, so, and that means a lot to me. And hope to be back on the track very soon and start drifting with this new setup, and I'm pretty happy about it. So see ya.